Hello and welcome to Unleashed. I'm your host, Will Bachman. If you visit umbrex.com/unleashed, you can find the show notes and transcript for this episode and all 520 something episodes we've done so far. And if you send me an email, I'd love to actually hear from listeners and just know who you are, what you like about the show. It's unleashed@umbrex.com. My guest today, I'm really excited for this episode. I've been following, I know John is a friend, and I've been following him on LinkedIn. John Cobb has just been crushing it on LinkedIn. We will hear some of the stuff he's written. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
So, John, maybe why don't we start? Maybe we could start if you have some at the ready. I'd love you. So your posts on LinkedIn follow a very distinctive style. You have this kind of clear square image post with a relatively short saying and has your name and I think some other elements to it, but it's basically just a quote, like a quote kind of post. And these things are crushing it. Read a few of them for us, just so we can jump in and get a sense of what you've been posting.
Thank you very much. So the biggest post I've had this year is about 236,000 likes or reactions, if you will, almost 18 million impressions now. And it's just a really short story. It says, when I got laid off, one of my managers never said bye. My other manager made it her personal mission to help me find my next opportunity. Leadership is about looking out for people, whether it's in your job description or not. And I put a couple of hashtags on there, leadership and culture change. And I think that this post resonated with a lot of people, one, because of the timing of, so many layoffs happening across different industries, and also because people appreciate that empathetic leadership style. They want to work in an environment where people care about each other. And I was able to tap into that. And because of that, it resonated with a lot of people and gained momentum and ended up doing pretty well.
Pretty well. 236,000 engagements, likes, 18 million views. That is crazy. Read us some other ones. And what a like a authentic kind of post. And that's the kind of post that people, they want to like, right? They want to share it with others, and they want to be seen as favoring a post with that point of view. Share us some other ones that you've done.
Yeah. So the other one that is still going here after a month, actually, it's still increasing, just says, I'll hire someone with the right mindset over someone with the right resume any day. Skills are easier to teach than attitude. And it's short, it's to the point, but it reminds people that there are things that matter more than the brand names that are on a person's resume, and to look deeper into the motivations for that person and the why behind why they're interested in a job. And I think that we've all been in a position before where we felt like we could do the job, we could do a great job, we just needed the opportunity to prove ourselves. And I've been in that position, and candidly, I've only had the success that I've had because people have given me a chance at times. So that's something that really resonates with people as well. And that's about 127,000 likes right now, 4.7 million views.
Wow, that is crazy.
Thank you.
Let's do one or two more. These are fun to hear. And
thank you. Absolutely. So one that I wrote a few months ago, it says, don't take the job that pays the most. Take the job with people who will help you grow the most. And that's about, 5,700 likes right now, 340,000 impressions. But I think, again, it's this common situation that people are in where maybe they've had a job offer or a potential job that paid a lot, but they felt like it wasn't right for them. And I see a lot of people get trapped in this situation where they've got the golden handcuffs, right? They're making great money compared to anything they've made before, but it's maybe not the right fit for them, or it pays more now, but it doesn't have the long-term growth opportunities. And you really need to think long-term about your career, what makes sense for you, aligning with what you enjoy, what your key skill sets are, and adopt that long-term mindset. So, my goal is just to try and challenge people to think about their careers in the right way, to adopt the right perspectives, to help them be successful and more happy in the long run.
Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you're running the job search boot camp or career boot camp. Remind me. I'm sure the name of your practice.
Yeah, job search. So my company is John Cobb Coaching, and I have an app that I built called the Job Search Bootcamp. It's a comprehensive tool to help people identify what mistakes they might be making in their job search process and adopt a more strategic approach. Because what I see a lot working with people who are on the job market is they get laid off or they graduate from school or something happens and they're looking for their next job opportunity. And so naturally they jump in and they start applying to jobs they're interested in. And when they don't get those jobs, they get rejected a few times. They start to get more desperate. They start to apply to jobs that are kind of outside of their core expertise and applying to more and more easy apply jobs on LinkedIn until they get to the point where they've applied for 200 things, and they're frustrated that they're not getting the interviews or they're not getting the offers. And so I challenge people to step back and think more strategically about their job search and do the networking before they apply. Try to get the referrals before they apply. Think carefully about the companies that they really want to work for. And if they do that, then they can apply with a full quality application, because a lot of people see getting hired as a numbers game. They look at it quantitatively and they say, I've applied for 500 companies. Why haven't I got hired yet? Well, if you're running, in the Olympics and you're slower than everybody else, you're probably going to lose just about every time. And so we really want to focus on quality and putting out the best application that we possibly can, doing our research on the company, networking, understanding what drives them. And when you do that, you have a much higher success rate. And so my app has an audio course that walks people through all of these stages: how to network correctly, how to reach out to people on LinkedIn that you've never talked to before, how to build a resume that gets people's attention, how to interview and stand out. And I really believe, and I've seen, that when people follow this structured approach and they get good at the job search process, they are much more successful and they make more in less time. They get hired faster. But getting a job is a skill set all its own. You could be the best consultant in the world or the best software engineer in the world, but getting the job to do that work is a very different skill set than doing the work itself.
Yeah.
And so I just try to help people build the skill set to get the job that they deserve.
Okay, so you have Job Search Bootcamp, which is an app. So that's is it strictly an audio course? Are there like exercises or interactive elements to it? What do people get with that?
Yeah, there's the audio course. It also has resources. There are resume templates that I highly recommend. Those are based off the Harvard Business School resume templates. It has cover letter templates. It has negotiation letter templates. It's got a community forum where you can send me messages and I can answer your questions directly. So there's a few different things in there, but really the course is what I think that people will get the most value out of. And it's only a few dollars a month right now. I've made it as cheap as possible because I know how hard it is for people who are unemployed and looking for opportunities. So I love to work with people one-on-one. I'm happy to help people. I do a lot of dedicated coaching for career searches, but I tell people, if you're strapped for cash, go through the app, go through the course, and it's really going to help you get hired faster and make more.
And that's a nice way for people who can't, is not the right time for them to get with you one-on-one, but you have something to offer them. So that's a nice idea for consultants to have sort of a paid asynchronous offering. So in terms of your coaching practice, tell us a bit about your focus. Is it primarily around sort of the job search or career coaching, or is it more of a broader kind of executive coaching type of practice? Tell us about your coaching practice.
So I left Deloitte Consulting a few years ago and started my own practice and ended up landing my first contract with a Fortune 50 software company and focused on business consulting for several years. But I found that my passion was helping individual people be successful and retake control of their lives. And of course, getting a new career, finding a new job is a huge part of retaking control of your life. But I work with people across different elements of their life and challenges that they face. So really, I have a life coaching practice now, and I get to help people who are entrepreneurs looking for funding or bootstrapping a company. In addition to the career coaching that I do work with people in terms of relationship challenges and their mindset, developing and cultivating a mindset of success, getting back into fitness routines and all of that. So I do have a broad life coaching practice, but of course, career coaching is a huge part of that.
I'd love to hear a bit about how you developed the approach that you're doing with your LinkedIn posting now. There was probably some trial and error and experimentation. You probably didn't get, 17 million views on your first post. Tell us about the process that we went through and like how often you're posting and, the different formats you may have tried.
Yeah, so some of the early advice I got was that if you don't know what your voice is, then you probably aren't speaking enough. And I've found that the best way to find your voice is just to start saying what matters to you. And so I began posting about what mattered to me, which is work culture, helping people, make progress personally and professionally. And over time, I refined my voice more and more. And I found what the overlap was between what I cared about and what I had to offer, the value I had to offer, and the people who found that value and appreciated it. And so it is a process. It's definitely trial and error. In fact, I was just writing a post about how you have to experiment in order to find what works for you, whether you're experimenting with different careers early in your career journey or you're posting content. The more little experiments you run, the more you're going to find where those success indicators are, and you can drill down into what seems to work. But you have to run the experiments.
Yeah.
And
so when you
yeah, so
started out,
I committed.
when you started out, like, yeah, tell us like how often were you posting, and did you start out with just pure text posts? When did you land on this sort of square image post with the quotes?
Yeah, so I call those a thought graphic because it is a picture of text, and they're really just thoughts. And I learned this from watching some other people and just being curious and seeing what was working for other people. And I noticed a couple of thought leaders on LinkedIn who were having a lot of success with their posts and started trying to dissect what they were doing and understand, what was different between them and what other people were doing. And I noticed that, for one, their text was bigger. When you have an image, a picture of your text, you're able to take up a lot more real estate on the LinkedIn scroll feed than if you just type into a normal text post. So I think that's one of the biggest things, taking up the real estate, because we're in an attention economy. There are so many different content creators on social media. If you can take up a little bit more real estate and make it easier for people to read what you have to say, that's going to go a long way. And then the second part is making the idea or the thought easy for people to quickly identify with. So, LinkedIn is not the place to write a long, complicated post. Maybe that would be good for an article. It's not quite Twitter either, where you're as limited on characters, but just because you can type more characters doesn't mean you should. The easier it is for somebody to understand what you're trying to say, that's going to make it easier for them to like or react or leave a comment or identify with it or follow you quickly than if you write something that takes a lot of energy and effort. Because you imagine people standing in line at the grocery store or something, they're going through their phone quickly. It needs to be something that resonates in half a second.
And so did you make a practice of posting every day and trying out different formats, or?
I have tried different formats. I try to balance it. I really enjoy doing polls. It's interesting to see what people respond, how they respond. I do write some longer personal stories, and my goal is to post twice a day right now.
Wow.
Usually I average 1 to 2 a day, occasionally 3 times a day, but there are days I miss. Maybe I should be more disciplined, but there are days where I'm not feeling I don't know, inspired, or I don't have anything ready, or I'm out on the water or something. And I'm okay with missing a day occasionally, because I don't want LinkedIn to control my life,
Hmm.
right? It's great. Consistency is one of the key ingredients to success, but it's not the number one priority in my life to make sure that I post every day. It's more important for me to work out, spend time with my family, take care of the people that I'm coaching. So I had to find the right priority level, but it is high, and I do have to push myself. And I look at how often I'm posting, and sometimes I look back and say, I missed, 3 or 4 days this month, and um, I could be reaching more people if I was a little more committed. So it's important to reflect as well on what's working and not working. But of course, consistency is one of the major keys to success in social media and LinkedIn, because it builds on itself over time. And now I have, 20 or 30 posts that are all still active that I'm getting likes and comments and reshares from. And that wouldn't be happening if I was posting once a week.
Right.
So it really builds on itself.
Tell us a bit about how you nurture these posts. Like once you post, I've heard that that you get a lot more acceleration if you're interacting with people, engaging with comments. Do you sort of set aside an hour after your post goes live to interact and respond to people?
I do try to be very active in the first hour. I actually try to respond to every comment left on all of my posts. And that's a bit overwhelming. Sometimes I've had posts with, I don't know, 8 to 10,000 comments. And I've personally responded to many of them. I won't say all, but a lot of them. The first 20 minutes after you post is the most important. That's when the algorithm is kind of evaluating how much people are interested in your post. So if you can block that time out, it's really helpful to respond to every comment. If somebody reshares your post, like that reshare, thank them for sharing it, leave some thoughts. If you want to add an additional comment for context or to add to what your post said, then you can do that. I'd wait a few minutes after you first post. So maybe, 5 to 10 minutes after you post, you leave a comment, or if you want to leave a link, wait 10 or 20 minutes to leave a link, because LinkedIn does not like links that take people off of the platform. Even if you leave a link to one of your articles that's on LinkedIn, it will lower the amount of exposure your post has just because there's a link on there, because they don't want people to leave the platform. And I don't think it necessarily interprets the difference between a link to your website or a link to YouTube and a link to an article that you have on LinkedIn. So just be careful not to have those links in your actual post. And if you put them in the comments, wait a few minutes after you post to put those on there.
Now, tell us what you have learned about when you do have one of these posts that's starting to perform pretty well. How are you trying to take advantage of it in terms of trying to stay in touch with people, or get them to sign up on a newsletter, or just sign up for something that's relatively low barrier, connection request, get them to follow you, get them to sign up for your app.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
So I think of this in terms of the value ladder that I learned from Russell Brunson of ClickFunnels. And you want to start with something really small, like adding them to your email list. And, there may be a lead magnet where you offer them a free resource, maybe a free digital book or something, if they give you their email address. So you can put that in the comments and say, I'd love to share this resource with you. Click here to get your free ebook or something. That's a great way to build your email list.
And are you doing that? I haven't seen you do. I mean, I haven't seen that on your post that went really big. Do you have lead magnets and stuff that you're doing that with?
I have some magnets I'm working on. I have not been collecting email addresses, and I've realized more over the past couple weeks here just how important that is, because when you have your own email list, you control your access to the audience. And when you have a social media following, you're at the mercy of the algorithm.
Yes.
So if the algorithm doesn't like your post, and LinkedIn really does not like marketing posts, So it's funny because you want to essentially market yourself on social media, but if you do that, the algorithm's really going to penalize you.
Yeah.
And so you talk about things indirectly that are valuable for other people. And then you can leave the comment afterward that says, hey, if you like this, please follow me for more, or please click here to sign up. So uh, collecting emails is something that I need to work on. I need to finish the lead magnets that I'm working on. And then I'm planning to launch my own series of webinars in the near future to talk to people about how I can support them through digital courses that I'm wrapping up and one-on-one coaching as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it sounds like you haven't yet implemented like the kind of email lead magnet collection system. For listeners, one place that you can do that is on your LinkedIn profile, like right kind of below your name and your title. There's that place where
Mm-hmm.
you can put a link in there, and you can name the link. So it could be something like, you know, get the compendium of my best posts. It could be something like that. Click here. People go to a simple, clean web page where all they have to do is put in their name and email, and they get like, the 50 job hunting tips or something, right?
Yep. It does not need to be a 300-page
Yeah.
ebook. It can be a one-page resource. And so I need to do more work here. You're the master of this, though. I mean, you have incredible digital resources that are invaluable to independent consultants. So you've got that in spades right now, but that is something that I need to work on more. Right now, my link on my profile says johncobbcoaching.com, which is my website.
Yeah.
No H in John, but I probably need to change that to something more compelling that says, click here to get your free ebook or whatever,
Yeah.
to really compel people.
Yeah. Or like 15 job hunting tips or something.
Exactly.
So, and what sort of conversion have you seen? I mean, you are at the kind of Six Sigma of what the rest of us can hope to do. Like, 17 million views. My God,
Thank you. Thank you.
so I'm curious to hear sort of the impact. When you get that many views, how does that translate into, like new coaching clients? Did, some of those people reach out to you and say, I like your post so much, I'd like you to coach me? Or, getting your job, the job boot camp app. What have you seen in terms of the impact? It's nice to be so
Yeah.
famous, right? But what's the impact?
Little by little. I do have a consistent stream of people that reach out to me and ask about coaching or courses. And, the challenge is the product market fit, because people who are unemployed or just got laid off or have been looking for work for 3 months without much success, they're less likely to invest in a high ticket item like one-on-one coaching, even though that might be extremely valuable for them. I mean, I've worked with people and helped them negotiate, another 40,000 in annual salary. So I see the ROI, and I've gotten much better at helping other people see it, but it's hard to sell those high ticket items. And so just understanding my customer base more and the people that I can help, having a digital resource that's $100 to $150 is much more reasonable for them. And then getting them into a webinar where I can walk them through the value, help them understand, and answer their questions. I think that's going to be a better model than what I've done in the past, because it's hard to have leads come in who are interested in coaching and have to vet them, and it is a really high ticket item for this this type of work. So, but you can absolutely expect to get leads off of posts. I don't have an exact number of how many people have messaged me, versus my impressions, or how many customers I have versus impressions. I need to figure that out. Actually, that's a good KPI, but it does definitely lead directly to business opportunities depending on what industry you're in.
I'm impressed that you've been able to respond to such a high percentage of the comments. If you get like 10,000 comments, it's actually becomes very difficult even to get down to the comments that you haven't replied to, because like LinkedIn isn't really built for that. So you can scroll for like an hour, and then you finally get to a comment that hasn't been replied to, and then like LinkedIn will have like a little hiccup, and you have to start all over again. You can't just like zip right down there very
Yes,
easily.
the hiccup. Yes. So a couple strategies for that. One, I do have the option to sort or filter I guess it's a sort, my comments by most recent. So if you look under your picture where it says add a comment to your own post, it says most relevant, and then there's a most recent option. So that's helpful to find the comments that I have not responded to yet. Um, but I don't know if everybody has that because
No,
LinkedIn
yeah,
has these features that they roll out
I think that is
incrementally.
universal. I mean, at least I have that. I think that's universal, but it becomes an issue if the comments are coming in so quickly you can't even keep up with them, and then it's buried like
Right.
1,000 deep. They can be hard to find. So they don't have a very good filtering feature for like show me the comments that haven't been replied to yet.
Yeah, I wish they had that. I wish the direct messages were much easier to manage. I wish they had different, folders that I could create and more functionality there. So I've talked to some people at LinkedIn about trying to add some of that.
Well, there is
But other tricks I've used.
there is a tool I will share with you, which I just learned from another episode, a recent one with Brian Ortiz, where there's a tool called Lead Delta, which you might look into,
Mhm.
which plugs into LinkedIn and lets you manage your LinkedIn messages. It has templates you can use. It has lets you filter and sorter and tag and so forth in a little bit more manageable way. So that might be one thing to look into.
Yeah, thank you. I'll definitely look into that. One thing I've learned is that LinkedIn does not like third-party tools that, access the system for you. I had a problem with LastPass, which is a password manager. LinkedIn put me in LinkedIn jail. They blocked me because they didn't like me having that tool
Just
hooked up
LastPass?
to LinkedIn.
No kidding.
Yeah,
LastPass. Oh, I've not had a problem with that. My whole team, we all have LastPass. I'm surprised at
interesting.
that. Yeah, my whole team has
It may be
LastPass.
because my executive assistant was in a different location or something. I'm not sure,
Hmm. Okay.
but I think it's kind of hit or miss.
Hmm. All right.
So that's one thought there. But there are different features that not everybody has. For example, I know some people can pin one of their comments to the top of their post, which is really helpful if
Hmm.
you've got your little sales pitch there. And so what I've said typically is, hey, if you're in career transition or you're looking for help, there are three ways I can help you. You can either follow me for insights, or you can download my app and go through the job search bootcamp course, or feel free to reach out to me about one-on-one coaching
Hmm.
and kind of give people options and let them decide what the best way is for you to help them.
That's cool. I don't think I have that where you can pin a post to the top. That's
I actually don't either, but I know some people in the hundreds of thousands that do.
oh
So hopefully it comes to the rest of us soon.
yeah, that would be a good thing to have.
Yep.
I don't see that. Yeah, like I mean, it'll put the most relevant, and sometimes your own comment will become the most relevant if a few other people like it or something. But that would be nice to be able to pin something there.
It would be. There's also the ability to schedule a post
Yeah.
into the future. I think they let you schedule a week out. So that's a relatively new feature. And I've also noticed that there's a difference between whether you're, on Google Chrome or you're on Edge or something, or on a MacBook versus a PC. You might have different functionality available.
Is that right? No kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, because they'll roll it out to one and not the other at first.
Huh. So yeah, I have been using this schedule post tool, and
Hmm.
is there a particular time of day where you post typically?
I think it's important to be consistent because you'll have an audience that is typically on around the same time, and you want people who are used to seeing your posts. So I usually post around 8 a.m. and then maybe 4 or 5 p.m. if I post twice in a day. That's worked for me. Arguably, I should post earlier in the morning since I'm on the West Coast. It's already 11 for people on the East Coast by then. But, it's a balance of what works well for LinkedIn and what works well for you. in your schedule.
Well, you could. It's also kind of where the bulk of your people are, and if you want to be up at 5 in the morning, your time to be responding to all the comments, like, be a
Absolutely.
little rough. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, so that's also the guidance that I've heard from a few people is posting in the morning. I've heard 7 a.m., 8 a.m. I think Justin Welsh does 8 a.m. Eastern or his time,
Hmm.
because that gets people. If a post is doing well, it will build over the course of the day, and a
Right.
lot of people will be checking LinkedIn kind of before they start their normal workday, maybe at 9 o'clock. So they kind of quickly check their phone, they see a post, and then they might be off LinkedIn from 9 till 12 and only check it at lunch or after work.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you want to catch
Before
them.
work, lunch, after work.
Yeah.
Yep.
So except for like link.
And earlier in the week too, if I have a post that I feel is going to do really well,
Mm,
I'd rather post it on a Monday or Tuesday than on a Friday
mm.
because things die a little bit during the weekend.
Yeah, they die. Even if it does well on Friday and is like cruising, it will just kind of peter out over the weekend. And somehow LinkedIn isn't smart enough, the algorithm, to realize, well, it was doing well on Friday. We should show it to a lot more people. It just kind of, they peter out. So, uh,
Yeah, it's interesting. It's not purely based on like a percentage of how many people react to it because I've had posts that started off well above average. I
mm,
mean, if you have a post that gets consistent 4% engagement, let's say it has 500 views and you have 4% engagement, that's doing pretty well for LinkedIn.
yeah.
You would expect much higher ratios of engagement if you're on Instagram. I mean, I'm not big on Instagram right now, but I've had posts that are at 30% of people
What?
that see it liking it.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, I don't have a huge following, but a pretty high percentage. And yet Instagram does not keep that post going,
Hmm.
which is really frustrating. So whether your post does well or not is not strictly based on the number of people that engage with it. It's certainly an important factor, but I believe that the algorithm is looking for certain subjects and for certain keywords. And it really matters that they are related to kind of what you're known for. So if you set up I think it's called the influencer option for your LinkedIn profile, it's called creator mode.
Hmm.
Um, so if you're under creator mode, you have hashtags that you want to be known for, that you want to talk about. And so my profile says talks about coaching, leadership, career pivot, culture change, and mindset coaching. And maybe I should pick more popular hashtags, but there's a case to be made for picking more niche hashtags too. Um, but when you talk about those subjects that you have identified you want to be known for, and you use those hashtags, LinkedIn is going to like your post more. So they're really trying to help people identify and build their audience within specific niches.
Yeah. Now, I see that you use hashtags, and I'm curious your philosophy on that. Some guidance that I've seen says kind of hashtags are sort of dead and they're actually almost a negative that you should not use hashtags, but you use them and your posts do very well. Tell, tell me
Thank
what,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, so when you turn on creator mode in LinkedIn, it gives you kind of a guide. There's a guide, and it says, we recommend using I think 2 to 4 hashtags. Um, and so I've heard different things from different people who say you've got to have 3 to 5. Other people say no hashtags. But this is LinkedIn itself telling you we like to see 2 or 3 hashtags. And so I usually keep it to 2 or 3. Um, I think they're probably giving you that advice for a reason. And I do think that they penalize you if you have too many. Are there people that click on a hashtag and scroll through everything that's been tagged to that? Yes. Is it maybe as many people on LinkedIn as other platforms, Instagram or something? Probably not. But I think it does help.
Yeah, I definitely say keep it to no more than three because some people will throw like 30 hashtags on there and it just looks very spammy.
Yeah. And the
And
guidance is the same for emojis too. They do not want to see 20 or 30 emojis.
yeah,
Same thing for tagging people. If you want to tag people in your posts, there are some people that tag me. I got tagged today, and this person had tagged probably 100 or 200 people in his post and comments. And the hope is I'm going to reach more people. They're going to react. They're going to be grateful that I tagged them, and my post is going to go viral. And LinkedIn really shuts that down because they look at how many people respond. If you tag somebody and they don't respond, then it doesn't look good for your post.
Right. It's like either a big positive, big negative. If you tag someone and they respond, then it's a big positive. But if you tag a bunch of people and they don't respond, then it's
Right.
like a real
Right.
killer to your post. In fact, I hate it when people do, unless it's like just me and they think I would be interested, just personally, like because they know that it's like independent consulting or something. If someone tags me in a group of 30 people, I like go and untag myself, which I think is like a double, triple negative because I don't want to be
Mm,
spam like that. Uh,
right. Right.
we're getting down into the minutia here, but but you've really mastered stuff. So have you? I'm curious if you've seen, talking about being on target or on topic. Have you done some posts that you thought, hey, this was like a pretty good post, but maybe it was a bit off your normal focus topic area, and it just sort of didn't perform the way you were hoping it would?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of an example. I'm an entrepreneur. I've started my own company, and so I love to talk about entrepreneurship. And that is a small subset of my audience. And so I should not be surprised if one of my entrepreneurship posts does not do as well because it's kind of irrelevant for three-fourths of my audience or something. Um, Although I did a poll recently and more than half of people said that they would like to start their own business. So I thought that was interesting. But of course, far fewer people actually do. Um, so, there's the possibility that if you talk about something that is off subject for you, that you are going to alienate part of your audience. They might even unfollow you, thinking that you are irrelevant for them. So, the more that you can focus on a very specific message, the better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like it's a big leap for them to unfollow you. You'd have to really start annoying people, posting probably about just some super random stuff. But if
Hmm.
like just the act of ignoring the post or not engaging with it and lowering your engagement rate can quickly kind of kill it if you're way off topic. So
Definitely. And,
yeah.
and your tone too, like I've taken a little bit more, I guess, of an edgy tone, if you will, something I've learned from Justin Welsh. And it makes your posts more thought provoking and maybe, um, I don't know, controversial. Um, but I would never say something controversial that I didn't truly believe. So I've realized you have to be careful what you say because, it might just go viral. And you want to be known for what you want to be known for. So you got to be careful what you say. But one more thought on that, if I could, is, you know, a lot of stuff you post is not going to work out. I still have posts that get like 12 likes sometimes. And you just got to say, okay, that's interesting. I can learn from that. I wonder what was different here. What was my tone? What were the specific words I used? What time did I post? So take all that feedback back. But when I tell people to experiment, they say, well, what if, people don't like what I post? And the answer is, well, then LinkedIn is not going to push it as far. So it's actually working in your favor.
Yeah,
If
right?
something is liked by a lot of people, it's going to get a lot more attention. If people don't like it, not that many people are going to see it. So it makes it much easier for people to experiment without worrying about ruining their reputation.
Right, exactly. It's not like every post that you do is going to be seen by 17 million people, right? Only the good ones.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. And
yeah,
that was a tough post because, it's talking about me getting laid off a few years ago. That's pretty personal. It's hard for me to talk about it. I think that's another aspect of what people appreciated
yeah,
is there's some real sincerity there,
yeah.
and I was willing to be vulnerable.
Yeah, it was vulnerable, but it was also a message that kind of people want. It's something that people want to be seen as liking and sharing. Like, oh, yes, people, managers should go the extra mile and, take
Right.
care of their people. Um,
Right.
so
Absolutely.
people want to be seen as promoting that. All right. Well, valuable lessons for me here on managing and building a following. Congratulations to you on
Thank you
millions
very
and
much.
millions of views and crazy 250,000 interactions. It's just insane. Um, they must have you on sort of like their, status board there at like LinkedIn, headquarters or something. When a post does that, you imagine that someone is looking at it, personally and tracking it or something.
Yeah, I don't know how all of that works. I have been invited to respond and help build some of these AI enabled articles that LinkedIn is building.
Mm.
So that's been nice. And they've said, hey, we'd love your help to contribute to these articles. And if you do that, we'll give you a badge that you're a top voice for something or other. So I need to, respond to more of those. And I really appreciate that from LinkedIn. But being one of the top voices, there's a very high standard
Mm.
for the actual top voice badge, that Simon Sinek and Bill Gates have.
Yeah.
But they're definitely paying attention at some level, I think.
That's very cool. All right, John. Hey, great speaking with you. For listeners that want to find out more about your coaching and about your app, your tool, give us the links again.
Yeah, so my website is johncobbcoaching.com, Jon, not John. And they can also email me at help@johncobbcoaching.com, or just look for me on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to connect with you still. I have spots left to connect with people. Um, won't for long, though. I'm running out of those connection spots. So love to connect with you. And if you do, please send me a quick message, and love to virtually meet you.
You start having to doing triage and unfollowing, disconnecting with people to make some more space.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that you can have an infinite number of people follow you. I will miss being able to actually connect with people after a while here. I've got a few thousand connections left, actually, but that's another, piece too. If you want to grow, send connection invites to people. And I don't sell people anything. I think that is a potential business opportunity, but I just don't like the idea of messaging someone and saying, hey, if you're interested in coaching or if you're looking for a job, I can help you.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely prioritize meeting people. I just say, hey, it's great to meet you, and leave it at that. So the last thing I want to do is come across as a salesperson. I don't do any outbound marketing, and that's why I like LinkedIn organic growth, because it's been described to me as the difference between renting and owning.
Mm-hmm.
Where so you pay for an ad, you're renting that attention span. Um, or if you pay for a marketer that helps you with outbound sales, you're renting their time versus, kind of owning the attention where you build your audience. So anyway, that's just part of how I see the difference.
I agree with that. John, thank you for joining today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Talk to you soon.